All right, good afternoon. So, we've been talking a lot about the fire paragraph order, right? So right now I'm out here at an orchard farm, and you would think you're out here at a peach farm. How does this tie into a fire paragraph order? How does this tie into enemy sit? How does this tie into supporting our adjacent units? Well, let's go over orientation real quick. So we're talking about orientation. As that commander, when you're given an orientation, whether it be from a map or whether it be on the ground, you want to give an orientation to where your Marines know where they're at. For example, when I'm orienting you, I'm going to orient you to the road. There is one road right here off to my east. That road egresses in from the main road out there into this building right behind me, right? To the west, I have mountains over there. The mountains over there is terrain. So we're talking about terrain. The enemy could be hiding up there in the terrain. You need to orient your Marines to that. If you go over here to the north, you'll see some more trees out there, some more hills where again the enemy could be occupying. And right now, where we're currently at, it's kind of in the valley, so this isn't really the most opportune place to put your unit. However, in the orientation part, you have to be precise. You have to orient your Marines to the terrain. Make them feel like they can see the hills. Now, if you're actually in the battle position, you can easily point to where the enemy may be. I want you to think about the Chosen Reservoir and think about one of the famous things that Chesty Puller says. We're surrounded, right? We're surrounded. And what his comment was, great, that simplifies our problem because the enemy was all around him. So if this is the Chosen Reservoir and I'm standing right here, it's very easy to say we're surrounded. We can see the enemy on all these hills. However, we're back at the base or back at the fob and we're not yet in this position. You have to orient your Marines so they can visualize these hills. Whether it be a terrain model, whether it be a map recon, an aero recon, you've got to visualize that to them. That goes into the overall situation. The situation is the enemy. We're talking about salute and we're talking about draw deep, right? Where is the enemy? What size is the enemy? What activity? What location is the enemy? What time were they on hills? All these things in the situation tie back into the orientation. We're talking about the enemy could be up there in those hills. How do I know? Because in the orientation, it kind of covered that. That's a great spot for the enemy to be. My situation will cover that when we talk about the enemy's capes, limbs, composition, disposition, and strength, okay? Now we talk about supporting adjacent, right, or higher units, right? When we talk about higher units, where is the higher unit? Is higher headquarters over there? Is your adjacent unit on top of that hill? Is that your supporting unit? Do you have fires on that hill? Or do you have fires behind you aimed to that hill? I don't know. You need to make this clear to your Marines when you're given that orientation, you're given that situation, and we're talking about giving the mission. Right? Now those are the first two of the paragraphs, orientation and situation. Later on I'll go over the other three parts of the paragraph, but for right now you need to understand, how do I orient myself and my Marines to this terrain? How do I describe this terrain to the Marines in my situation report?